Hello, everybody. My name's Rick McCutheon. I'm a Dynamics 365 MVP. And today on Partner Talks, we're going to talk with Eric Newell from Stoneridge. Eric, tell the people who you are and what you do.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Newell. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Stoneridge Software and the chairman of Leverage and ISV products. So happy to be with you here today. And congrats, Rick, on your another
Uh,
MVP award. So
oh,
great to
thank
be
you
with
very
you.
much. We try to keep the ball rolling in the world of being an MVP, and I appreciate your thoughts. So why don't we first talk about Stoneridge? Because Stoneridge is a very exciting, company, the way it was conceived and its growth. And then let's talk a little bit about your ISV product.
Yeah, thanks. So I worked at Microsoft for 13 years. I actually started on Great Plains 5.5 E Enterprise. That was the first product I started in support there. And then I moved through a number of different roles in the services side of the business at Microsoft. So I went from being a support engineer to doing support operations, like managing customer source and partner source for those of you who have been around for a while and remember that. And then I moved into, so after doing systems for a while and integrating Solomon and Navision and integrating with Microsoft, then I moved back into a technical role as a technical account manager on the Premier support team. I did that for a number of years. And then I spent my last 4 years there leading a Premier field engineering team. So we get to work on the biggest Dynamics clients and also the most escalated Dynamics clients. So that was really the time when I was like, I think we have an opportunity to do better as it relates to partner relationships with clients. And I really wanted to be able to build these trusting relationships between clients and partners because a lot of the clients that I talked to didn't feel like they trusted their partner very well at that time. And so that was really the big driver in starting the business. So my wife, Becky, who had worked at Microsoft, and our friend Cody, we decided to start the business in October of 2012. So we've been at it now for almost 12 years. We started with the three of us. We didn't really know where it was going to go. I think our long-term projection was maybe we'll get to 30 people in like 4 years. Well, we got to 40 people in 2 years, and now we're at 330 people within the organization. So it's certainly grown quite a bit more than we expected in our few years that we've been in business.
And that's fantastic, Eric, because I'm sure when you're kind of on this journey, you're kind of going down this corridor and doors are opening, right? You're seeing a lot of opportunity. You don't, where you end up sometimes is surprising. And I'm sure by being a support person at Microsoft and now leading an organization this size, it wasn't probably exactly in your plans at the beginning.
No, for sure. And there were a lot of interesting doors that opened up. I mean, we had a couple of our friends from Microsoft say, "Hey, we're sick of doing this Microsoft thing. Can we come and join you?" And so I basically, anytime a smart person came to me and said, "I'd like to join you," I just said yes, and I'll figure out what to do with them later. And that worked really well to be able to pull in such a great team to start with. And then we started by doing Dynamics AX. That was what our focus was at the time. And so I had been teaching how to do project management to like fast tracks, this training ground for consultants that Microsoft had at the time. And so I served as the project manager and the jack of all trades. And then Becky, my wife, was a developer. We had a technical resource, a couple functional resources. So we had a really elite team to start with that served as a great base for us to grow from. And then how we got into Nav and Business Central was an interesting story. There was a partner in Minneapolis who kind of went out of business. And so I got introduced to one of their vice presidents and we hit it off well and invited him to join Stoneridge to do AX work. And he's like, "Well, I'd really like to keep doing nav work. Maybe you should meet the other vice president and maybe we can all come together and do nav work here." And so that happened in early 2014. And so that was just us kind of taking a chance on something. We didn't have any business plan that showed here's how we're going to get into nav or anything like that. So there's definitely been a lot of fortunate events that have occurred, what we've just taken advantage of over the years, and that's really helped propel our growth.
So where are you taking things next at Stoneridge?
Well, the things that we're focused on now is really on more on the data and power platform side, and of course, Copilot, and kind of weaving that into all of our business lines. So our finance and supply chain management is the biggest part of our business today, followed pretty closely by Business Central and CRM. So we have three really mature practices in those spaces. And then we have a pretty small, what we call cloud services team. So they do Microsoft 365 and Azure. And we'd like to do more of that for our clients as well, too. And then we recently started a data insights team. And so that's really focused on, the Microsoft Fabric, Microsoft Power BI, and being able to bring that capability to our clients. That's probably the number one thing that we get asked about from client leadership is how can you help us give us the kind of reports that we need to be able to run our business. So that's where that's what we've been focused on here over the last year as a new growth opportunity. And then I think Copilot, we're just really trying to sort through what that means and how our clients are going to use that. And that's kind of my rock or initiative for this quarter, to figure out how do we go to market in each of the different areas with Copilot.
Okay, that's great. And I know we've been doing some work together with Veta Solutions, and they seem to be the CPM product for the planning and advanced reporting that you're working with. Let's talk a little bit about that relationship and where you plan on taking that.
Yeah, so over the years we've kind of had when I first got into this, having spent all my career at Microsoft, like we were kind of told as support engineers at Microsoft, well, it's an ISV, so don't touch that. So I didn't really think that much about ISVs as we started the company. But what I've learned, but we've taken over a lot of clients over the years who have all these different ISVs. And so we've had a lot of different experiences, some positive, some negative with ISVs. And we started to build kind of a framework of like, who are the strategic ISVs that we want to work with? Who are the ISVs that we have a good relationship with that we'll work with, but maybe not go to market with? And then who are the ISVs that we'll deal with just because we have to, because our clients have them? And so we think Vena is a great strategic ISV in terms of like, let's go to market together. Let's recommend each other to our clients. And so they kind of fall into that bucket for us, which means that we do some more business development and work with them. And, our clients are super happy with the work that they've done. And that plays a big part. Like we don't make this decision based on, whether we like their logos or not. It's like all about, do our clients really like it? And are they willing to endorse these ISVs? And if so, then let's look to see how we can become a strategic partner with them.
Perfect. And, lastly, let's talk about your ISV product, your own development.
Yeah, so we launched Leverage, which is an ag focused, so it's LEVRIDGE. So we had to keep the same last few letters as what we had in Stoneridge. But we launched that back in 2018. So it's focused on ag processing and ag retailers. So when we say we're in the agriculture space, most people think, oh, it's a solution for farmers, but it's actually not. It's more a solution for like millers and ethanol plants and those types of processing plants, as well as ag retailers who are the elevators or cooperatives that buy grain from farmers and sell inputs back to farmers. So we're really excited about Leverage because there's really nothing else in this space in the Dynamics community that really works with ag processors and ag retailers. So we're finding a ton of opportunities. It took us a while to get it off the ground and get it to a place where it's starting to pick up momentum, but we've seen a ton of momentum, and it's been driving a lot of our new F and SCM business over the past 2 years. So it's a solution built on top of finance and supply chain management, and it includes things like scale tickets, where do you go and drop off your grain at an elevator? That's not something that's in the product. It gives you the ability to do split billing, where if a father and son work together and they want to split the bills between them, we can do that. There's a ton of like prepaid functionality. We also have settlements and quality. So when they come in, bring in their grain, is it the right weight or is it the right moisture level? And you can adjust the pricing of those things based on all that. So that's just a little sampling of some of the things that we built into that product. But my wife, Becky, leads that organization. And, she had worked in development at Microsoft for many years. So she's loving the opportunity to really drive that forward. And the results have been great here, especially over the past couple of years.
And it's going to be surprising where that product takes you. It's going to be its own corridor, right? Because those types of companies are going to ask for a lot of different functionality. And I talked to a lot of SI partners about, start building some ISV applications around, your customer base, and you're going to find that it's going to, increase the not just the value of your company, but the customer base and everything else that you're working with, right? It's going to introduce you to a lot more of the Microsoft cloud that you're going to bring into this.
Well, and we're starting to find too that the more specific or more niche area that we go after, the better success that we have in finding new clients. Because they don't want a vendor who's never worked in their space before. They don't want someone who's like, well, they'll figure it out. And, in the beginning of Stoneridge, we didn't have any kind of industry expertise. We were really good at implementing. But if you're talking to and which works great for clients who had an implementation go poorly, like that was how we got a lot of our business in the beginning, is we really knew our stuff and we really knew how to implement. But when you're talking to net new clients who haven't been through those implementations before, they don't care about that stuff as much. They want to know, do you know my industry and do you know how to solve my specific problems? And that's where that ISV and having a niche solution like that makes such a big difference.
Okay, Eric, I want to thank you for your time and coming on Partner Talks, and I'm sure we'll be back some point in the future, find out more about Stoneridge and everything you and your team are working on.
All right, great. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for having me on.
All right, have a great day and bye for now.